So when something's said to be bad or good, do they really mean it? Like when people rag on about how horrible a show was or how good it was. In the horrible case, was it because there wasn't that much to begin with, or because the show was actually that abominable?
Shows that are considered bad are probably considered that way because they're either too easily made or done to death so many times that you don't care anymore. A bold step to make something new that works and is psychologically deep is almost a requirement in this reviewing industry. Some people will say, however, that they aren't looking for that they just want a show to sit through and enjoy. But when a guy overpraises something that is actually mediocre or okay, that usually tends to worsen the status of how that show is perceived by a lot of people because went into it expecting too much. But that's okay, I guess. Expectations are a good thing, but if they're being fueled by someone that has a totally different taste in anime, that can somewhat become an issue. Where a show that was just okay became overhyped to a point most people walking in are expecting the next big thing, only to be left with a betrayed feeling because they didn't like it as much. Not saying the person who fueled these feelings is a bad person, of course not, because they wanted to state their opinions, and usually if you tend to follow someone, that means your opinions line up kind of okay with the guy you're trying to look at. There's a difference when a show that is said to be awesome is actually just okay. You can't help but say it was kind of bad because of your standards or because it was a different form of media you aren't familiar with. This is where my hatred for the rating systems comes in, because they can't actively explain for me that issue. Was a show good or was it okay? What does a 9 out of 10 say, and does that mean I shouldn't watch a show from 3 out of 10? Dependent on some other things? Who knows? Depending on who you are talking to, I guess. To me, everyone should avoid school days with a burning passion and check out Gurren Lagann or Evangelion or something, you know. But the same thing can happen in reverse. When someone is watching a show with a terrible reputation, but then enjoys it because it was okay. See where the problem arises again? Not saying a show is bad can be sometimes a good thing. I mean, trying to defend a show that has some work behind it does show some appreciation towards the people behind it. But defending a bad reputation show may put you in some weird group of people that are considered outcasts because of their wildly different opinions on shows that already have a reputation. Is that a bad thing or a good thing? Well, on the one hand, you could say that if you're overpraising something that already has a really bad reputation, that must mean you're probably not getting one or two things about why that show is being considered such a bad show. On the other hand, if a show was just really that mediocre that it was okay and not totally abominable, that can also mean a thing. So when I say is it good, am I then referring to critically good or more towards okay good? Well, I'll say that when I usually do this kind of is it good episode, it probably will be about a show I liked to an extent, or one I didn't think was as bad as its reputation. Of course, reviewing a heaping pile of crap can also occur, but I'll never really go into a show expecting Shakespeare, and neither should you. Going into something without expectations is one of the hardest things to do these days, and with the internet, that makes it even more hard. But I mean, you should try to at least put everything into perspective. You know, just make your opinions with consideration for the background of the show, the people who made it, the studio behind it, the time it came out maybe. What I'm just trying to say is that everyone should just enjoy the anime they watch and kill some horrible anime in the meantime. You know, the good, the bad, perverted, the boring, offensive, the magical, the soothing, and so forth. So there you go. Again, I want to say thanks to the Anime HQ and Energy Pants for having me as a guest on this little new channel. Subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content and look at the other channels here. You may enjoy some of them. And if you enjoyed my rambling, then maybe check out my channel here, where I have this little series called Is It Good?, where I go over a show with all my nitpicking and explain by the end if it's worth it or not, if it's good or not, and most importantly, if I thought it was okay or not.